Welcome back. This is Kevin Johnson of Leverage Consulting, and you are listening to the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast, number 14. And as you've noticed in podcast number 12, I talked about attitude. In number 13, I talked about stepping away. And you might start seeing a trend in some of these podcasts that they're more about you, they're more about coaching, they're more about making a difference personally. And with this one, we're talking about your superpower. And everyone has at least one superpower. Some have a few, but it's usually small in numbers. But everyone has at least one superpower. They could be things as simple as, I'm just really good in tough situations. Some people are literally like a machine. You feed them the same type of things over and over, and they will continue to crank out all these transactions or all these types of processes and so forth with ease and accurately every time, and they love it. They just love the ability to just take something and pull it together and crank it out and keep moving on to the next thing. And they do these things with such accuracy, and they make it look effortless. And then you have other people that they're just naturally people-oriented. They love connecting with people. They can walk into a room of 100 people, and instead of feeling butterflies or that pit in your stomach, they get excited about the idea of going in and doing something like that and coming out with 10 friends out of a room full of 100 people. Or maybe even more, who knows, because they're good at it. Then you have other people that are super detailed, and something that might make that extroverted person wilt like a flower, you can feed someone else just a cardboard box full of details and unorganized stuff. And in a short period of time, the person weeds through it, comes out with the summary or the 10,000 foot view of this, and boom, done. Let's move on to the next thing. Like it was no big deal. Everyone has the superpower. If you don't know what yours is, I highly suggest you figure that out. Some people are great at sales. Some people are great at delivering the product or service, but you need to figure out what your superpower is, because if you don't know what it is, that's a problem. And it's a problem really only for you. At the end of the day, at the end of your career, however you want to look at it, this is something that affects your satisfaction at work and at home. It affects your ability to rise to the top. It affects your ability to meet your goals. All these things is knowing and understanding what your superpower is so you can then capitalize on it. And that kind of comes to the next question. So once you start drilling down and figuring out what is my superpower, and if you don't know what it is, there are different ways to figure it out, whether that is asking other people or really figuring out where in your life you have been super successful. There's different ways to figure that out. But once you figure out what that superpower is, then the question is, do you really get to exercise that superpower enough? Do you get to use it enough? Are you able to use that superpower enough to impact your job or role at work, in life, or at home, so you can, again, further your role at work, further your career at work, achieve your goals at home or at work? Do you get to use it enough? Because if you don't, that's where you need to go back and start looking at what your role is at work. Are there things that you can control that you could minimize so you could maximize your impact with your superpower? So again, if you were in a role where, or your superpower is one where you are an extreme extrovert, you are the people-oriented person. If you're in a details kind of job, and I will say, depending on the type of job that you have, almost no one does the one thing that they do well. So, for example, if you go to a football team, somebody who's a place kicker, they might be able to do nothing but that. Just be a place kicker. Or if you're an Olympic swimmer, well, then that's your superpower. You're great at that. You've got phenomenal conditioning. You can do just that. But in very few jobs will you only do that. And I'm only saying this to ensure that you're not viewing this as, if I'm good at working with people, then that's all I have to do. Because any of us, and it doesn't matter if you're the owner or the manager or a team member, all equally valuable, all equally can have the same or better impact than the other. But if you're not able to use that superpower, and it's being limited by certain things that you can control, but keeping in mind that there are things that we all have to do that may not be in our within the confines of our superpower. So if you're super sales oriented and you like to keep things at 10,000 feet and you're good at conveying the benefits of a service or product, you're good at connecting the dots, you're good at getting people to commit to whatever product or sales that you have, awesome. But yes, it is going to require some detail-oriented type things. It is going to require that you maintain records, communicate with other people, even though you've closed the deal. You still have to do things like that that might not be within the confines of your superpower, but still, as long as we can maximize the time that you can invest with your superpower every week, that's going to define your trajectory. So you have to go and look at what really holds me back. Is it myself and my time management? Is it that I don't give myself enough time to do this? Do I have a difficult time saying no so I can say yes to my goals? And if this second question is or third question really is kind of tough, well, then that brings me to the fourth question, and that is, what if you were able to concentrate enough, maybe even 50% of your week? What if you were able to spend 50% of your week devoted to your superpower? Not the entire week, just 50%. So if you are super people oriented and you were able to spend 50% of your week in front of other people, how would that change your week? How would that change your year? How would that change your life? How would that change your attitude? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, man, that would really just change things for me, then what's standing in your way of changing what's going on that's preventing you from spending that time there? If you're the details-oriented person and you're not allowed to get into the details on a regular basis, if you have that great problem-solving ability, if you have some other type of, again, superpower that you're not able to devote that time to it, how would your life change? Right? Put it down. I'm guessing that you could come up with a short list, but a very impactful list of 5 things or 5 ways that your life would change, where if you devoted at least 50% of your week to that superpower, and without me having to tell you, those 5 things are likely to be the 5 things that compel you or inspire you to make the necessary changes so you can spend more time within the confines of your superpower. Because if you do, you'll be happier, you'll be more successful, and the people around you will be that much happier with you as well. So, a lot of questions for you, a lot of things to ponder, reflect on, digest, whatever you'd like to call it. But I think this is one that you might want to sit down, take a little bit of time, drink your coffee, and just take 10 or 15 minutes and really think about, what is your superpower? Do you get to exercise it enough? What's holding you back from exercising it or using it enough? And writing down a short list of 5 impactful results or ways in which, if you were able to spend 50% of your week on your superpower, how would it change your life and your trajectory? So I'm hoping this is one that's going to make you very reflective today. And as always, if you have other ideas or questions that you'd like me to address, please feel free to share. Put them in the comments below. Send them to me directly. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to bringing you some more great content in the very near future.